At 25 years old, I'm moving back in with my mother. And I also just quit my job. It's quite a terrifying idea, you know? At this age, being unemployed, relying on my parents for shelter, and not having any clue of what I want to or am supposed to do next. But at the same time, I also feel like this was a very important decision that I had to make for myself in order to live a truly fulfilling life. Let me explain. When I was 17, I left Thailand to finish my high school in Chicago. That experience was so eye-opening that I told myself that I wanted to stay abroad for university. And so I moved to the Netherlands to study media for 5 years, then later working as a videographer in Amsterdam for 1 more year. However, in that span of time, I slowly discovered that I did not like the direction where my life was headed to at all. Long story short, after many years of living abroad by myself, I slowly devolved into a insecure, shut-in nerd with little social skills, jerking off to questionable materials, struggling anxiously to graduate university later than all my peers, only to be stuck in a burnt-out, stressful job that I did not wish for, which in many ways is the complete opposite of how I view my first 17 years of life growing up in Thailand. So these past few years, I was beating myself up so much for not being able to fulfill the potential of where I feel like everyone around me or I had for myself growing up. I thought that was it. My life has peaked. I felt very lonely and lost in life, a shell of my former self, slaving my life away for the next salary to pay my next bill, while not actually looking forward to waking up to see the next morning. But at the same time, I also had no mental energy left in the tank to be able to nudge my life back around to where I want it to be. So one day I just said, fuck it. If I can't slowly nudge it around, I'll just flip it completely 180 in one go. So I saved money, quit my job, and flew back home. Now it needs to be said that I did not just wake up one day, thought my life was bad, and just book a ticket home that day without a plan. Moving back in at 25, unemployed, the most irresponsible thing I could do is to have zero savings to my name. So about a year before I hopped on that plane, I gave myself a plan and I did calculations on how much money I would need to save up in order to be able to sustain myself and let me explore what it is that I want to do next once I'm home without being too much of a burden to my family. So to be completely transparent with you all, I was making about 2.6k per month as a videographer in Amsterdam. And I was saving about 50% of my earnings per month. I was working for about 10 months, and additionally, I had about 4 grand of saving before that already. So in total, I saved up about 17 grand. According to the cost of living in the city that I'm in right now, with that amount of money, I could live sustainably without paying rent for about 2 full years. 2 full years! That's a ridiculous deal if you ask me. I thought so too. I even thought that maybe it would help solve my problems a bit too quickly. So instead, I spent 7 grand to sign up for Japanese language school and pay up my rent in Kyoto 6 months in advance. And I also put 4 grand aside already for food and groceries in that 6 months in Japan. And I also just booked my flight. I'll be flying on January 1st. New year, new me. Additionally, in the meantime, I also just bought a new MacBook, some new studio lights, and the lens you're seeing this video right now, it doesn't pay for itself either, you know. So all of these equipment in total about 4 grand, meaning that now I have about 2,000 bucks left to be able to live comfortably for the next 3-4 months, in which I've already spent about 50% of it on partying with my friends in the past 4 weeks. Meaning now I have about 1 grand left to live for at least the next 3 months, in which I've already planned a trip to the beach and potentially a trip to Vietnam. Well, I did say life responsibly, never mentioned successfully. Alright, let's actually wind it back a little bit, because surely the 6 months in Japan will be a blast, alright? But I actually think that the few months that I'll be staying at home will be actually more important for myself. I call it the recomposition phase. It's where I'll be recovering from loneliness, anxiety, depression, burnouts. You know, there were many things that I had to let go the past years that I was living abroad. And there are many more things that I wanted to do but never get a chance to because it just did not fit with the lifestyle that I was living.
You are okay.
As someone who used to be lunatically sportive, not having done any consistent exercises for years feels like a sin. And so I really can't wait to get both my body and health back in shape, and even further beyond that. I've also been really looking forward to making more videos, to learn how to become a better creator and a cinematographer. I still feel shy saying this out loud, but to be blunt, I wish to be able to be my own boss and create videos like this for a living. Drawing has always been my temple. It's where I can rest my soul and forget the world exists for a while. But despite that, I never got into properly learning the fundamentals of drawings. So I also wish to take some of this time to get better at drawing as well. And lastly, I know I just joked about splurging half of my budgets to go hang out with my friends. But honestly, that's like half the reason I came back here. I want to take this time to reconnect with the people I care about and reintegrate myself back into their lives again. It needs to be said that despite all the toughest of times I had living abroad, I've had many great memories while I was abroad, and I've made some lifelong connections as well. But man, that last couple of years where all my best friends and connections slowly spread out to move on with their lives and jobs, and I was stuck in school and the job I had was almost impossible to go through. And it would have been impossible. It would have been truly impossible if not for a girl named Test. This whole thing I'm doing will be an experiment. It will be my way of me taking life in my own hands. I'm not here to preach or give suggestions. I have no idea where this path will lead me. By the time my budget runs out, I will truly have become a broke, unemployed, 25-year-old living with parents. But I hope, I have faith that no matter what happens, the person I am down the line, down that road 6 months from now, will be a more fulfilled, happy person than who I am right now. Yeah, that sounds good. So let's do it. Let's get the f*** out of here. I'm leaving this place.